Good afternoon and the warmest of welcomes to Frankfurt International Airport. Guys and girls, today we're going to be flying with Lufthansa in their premium economy through to Dubai. It's going to be on board their Airbus A330. From all the pictures that I've seen online, things do look pretty good. I've got 20 or so minutes before the boarding, so I hope to give you a little bit of a tour around Frankfurt Airport. But for now, get set. This is going to be an interesting ride. Well, I must say, it was a little bit stressful arriving into Frankfurt that morning. I did so on a connecting flight, and unfortunately it was running late and the connection time was really very tight. Righty, so pretty tight connection here in Frankfurt. You can probably hear me panting a little bit. We're supposed to be gate Z20, kind of seem the same as E-gate, so let's see if we catch the flight. A bit of a state of confusion there. The Z gates and A gates seem to be the same. Not quite sure what I meant with the E gates. Thankfully, the flight was actually slightly delayed in the end, so it gave me a chance to catch my breath. Alrighty, so made it to the gate. That was a little bit mental, I would say, if you are connecting here in Frankfurt. Do leave slightly longer than an hour if you do need to interconnect within the terminal. Even though it's the same terminal, you have to get a bus between some of the sections of gates, so it does add a little bit of extra time. Shouldn't really warm the jumper, sweating out a little bit at the moment, but look. Next up, we'll jump on board. Just before we do so, I should say, if you're yet to subscribe to the channel, I'd love to have you subscribed. I've got so much similar content coming out each week on the channel, so hit that subscribe button and YouTube will help you keep up to date with every development on the channel. For now, let's jump on board. Alrighty, so this was to be our ride through to Dubai that afternoon. It was to be an Airbus A330. Of course, I was connecting via Frankfurt, so I didn't check in. If I had have done, sadly, Lufthansa don't have a priority check-in as part of premium economy. The boarding experience, frankly, it was an absolute scrum as well, so I couldn't wait to get on board, settle down, relax for a while, and see what it was going to be like. Jumping on board, the seat layouts was in a 232 configuration, which is pretty standard for this width of aircraft. I managed to bag a window seat right at the back of the cabin. Here, you can see how the seat itself contrasts to the economy section behind. Definitely more width in the seat, looks more padded, far more premium. Let's get into a little bit more around the details. Alrighty, so that's me on board. Seats nice and comfy. I've never quite seen a premium economy cabin that's so, how should I say, integrated with the economy cabin, literally just behind. But otherwise, first impression is pretty good. So over the next couple of minutes, we'll take a quick look around these seats and you can judge for yourself. Down to the side, there was a little storage area, and this is also where the Amenity kit was. This was done by Porsche and is something that we'll get into a little bit later into the review. Also, down to the side were the controls for the seat itself. It had a generous amount of recline, as you come to expect in premium economy, but sadly no car rest. These are an aspect which do help to make sleeping that bit more comfortable, particularly in premium economy. There was, however, a footrest and storage area for bottles. Now, water was waiting for me at the seat. I really like this when jumping on board to an aircraft. You do have to wait for the crew to come around and commence the service, and there's always a drink waiting for you. Thumbs up to them on this front. In terms of charging, I'm pleased to report that Lufthansa had you well covered. There was an international plug socket adapter down towards the floor, and underneath the entertainment screen there was then also a USB charger. Overhead there were individual reading lights, but sadly no individual air vents. I made a quick comment a little bit earlier about the comfort of the seat. I thought this was decent. Every little touch point was fairly nicely lined with quality materials. There was a little cocktail table for drinks just ahead of you, and of course the dining table extended out of the armrest itself. In terms of other touches of quality, the blanket for me was a real highlight. This was definitely something well up and above what you'd expect back in the economy cabin, and also the pillow was of a larger size and also had a nice touch to it. Now, sadly, due to bad weather apparently somewhere, we were held on the ground for around an hour or so. The crew came around with a drink that I'm not even quite sure what it was. It was a little bit weird, to be honest, but it was nice to get something at least where you were sat there. Earphones then also came around for the entertainment, which we'll cover off a little bit later on. I always very much appreciate a trip to Frankfurt. The Av geek within me absolutely loves it. It's one of the only places in the world that you can still now reliably see Boeing 747s and also Airbus A330s. Lufthansa do have such a large and incredibly diverse fleet, so that was really nice to see. For now, I'm going to start bringing down the music volume so you can enjoy this nice, slow and steady spool up aboard the Airbus A330 as we depart out to the sunny skies of Dubai. It was a beautiful day as we eventually took to the summer skies above Frankfurt. Should say, if you are looking to connect through, I would leave minimum 90 or so minutes. It is an absolutely massive airport, but quite a nice one, packed full of an awful lot of facilities. Talking about facilities, let's first jump on in and check out the bathrooms. Sadly, these were shared with the economy cabin. They were kept nice and clean throughout the duration of the flight, however. Returning to the seat, there was a hot towel, or should I say cloth service, perhaps on this front. It was not approach they went with, but nonetheless a nice little touch after having taken to the skies. What I'm trying to show you in this shot here is that the USB slot a lot of the time actually lit up, so it made it much easier to use during darker hours, you perhaps could say. The screen itself could also be tilted as well. Whilst we're talking about screens and charging, let's jump straight in and talk entertainment. First things first, no quality headset in premium economy. It's rare to fly with an airline now that doesn't give you almost a business class style of headset. This was a really, really poor start from Lufthansa. Beyond that, for what is quite an odd aircraft, old design, I thought the screen quality was decent. It was fast to respond. You could use the touchscreen or the little remote down to the side. In terms of Lufthansa entertainment, yeah, this looks very analog. Amongst what looked like quite an old display, there were actually some really decent up-to-date options. I had no issue finding various different bits and pieces to watch. In terms of the internet, this was available on the flight. Did have a lot of technical issues, overhearing lots of conversations between crew and fellow passengers. However, internet is indeed offered. Like so many other carriers, this was all accessible directly via the online portal. In terms of the options, I found the internet to be pretty expensive. Messaging was €9, with so many other carriers now this is offered completely free of charge, and with the 2-hour package at 19 and the full flight at 29, it was really rather punchy, so I think they could do a little bit there to make it more affordable for people. Next up, let's talk Amenity kit. As soon as I saw the Porsche design, the petrol head within me was suddenly awoken. To have an Amenity kit by Porsche is a great touch. So top marks to Lufthansa on that front. In terms of its contents, yeah, had everything that you'd expect from a premium economy kit. Nice to get. Thumbs up to them on this particular front. Next up, we'll broach the all-important topic of food on board. Firstly, the menu looked absolutely wonderful. Brilliantly presented, nice and large. In terms of the different services that were on offer, there was a main lunch style of service shortly after the takeoff, and then a snack before arriving into Dubai. In terms of those main courses, just a couple of options. Most airlines in premium economy do have 3, so we'll see how they go on that front. Beverages were then towards the rear of the menu. As mentioned a little bit earlier on, the table itself folds directly out from the armrest. You see this so often across so many premium economy seat designs. This worked as well as any of them I've ever experienced. It was really nice and solid throughout the duration of the flight, so it formed an ideal surface for dining, or indeed working on, as I did a little bit later into the flight. In terms of the dining service, this kicked off with a small snack, and then there was a choice of alcoholic drinks, sadly served in plastic cups. I don't like seeing this at all in premium economy, so yes, not good just here. It was the white wine that I kicked off with. Wasn't sure what it wasn't descriptive on the menu itself. To be honest, this wouldn't be my recommendation of one to go for. It was so-so, but yeah, not great. Before my lunch was served, we were treated to some wonderful views out across the Greek islands. As the food then came around, welcome to economy. Yeah, I joke, but to be honest, the presentation was a little bit economy-esque with the foil, the bread just kind of thrown into the teacup. Not a great start. I opted for the chicken. Whilst it was small, it actually tasted really good. So actually, good redemption from Lufthansa on that front, and thank goodness there was at least a wine glass with the lunch service. If you do get the chance today, head on over to my channel, check out my recent reviews of the Emirates Premium Economy, also Virgin Atlantic, and you'll start to see there where the rough benchmark is for Premium Economy dining. You'll start to get a little bit of an idea where I'm basing a lot of these opinions. That all being said, it was nice to see real metal cutlery and also finally the wine in a proper glass. So let's give the red wine a try and see exactly what it's like. And actually, it was pretty good. So my recommendation would be the red wine on board Lufthansa, as long as of course they keep the lineups the same. After lunchtime, it was time to grab a little bit of rest, and it wasn't long then before that second service was coming around. Unfortunately here, they did pretty poorly. Again, it was just a sandwich in a bag. It was a cream cheese type of sandwich, again, with a drink in a plastic cup. Again, you'll see with the Virgin Atlantic review how a real second service looks in premium economy. This was really just dragged and dropped from economy. Not good from them on this front. Following the second service, another hot cloth was brought around, and also a round of chocolates circulated the cabin. This was a nice little parting touch from them. As we then made our final approach down into the Dubai night skies, it was a good time for me to sit back and reflect on what had been a mixed experience with Lufthansa. Now, whilst I always try to be positive with the experiences that I have, I would say I probably wouldn't fly Lufthansa Premium Economy again in its current guise. I think for a number of reasons. They were behind on pretty much every single front. For me, the biggest downside was that lack of separation with the economy cabin. In this shot, you can see, even with British Airways' older cabin aboard the Dreamliner, how you have a solid bulkhead and then a curtain. That really needs to be the standard if you're selling a separate cabin. That all being said, Lufthansa undoubtedly have some wonderful designs coming down the line as part of their big Allegris refresh, and I'd love to try those. For now, if you're thinking of flying premium economy, I wouldn't look any further than the likes of Virgin Atlantic or Emirates, and I'll put those reviews on screen just now. Otherwise, all that's left for me to say is to thank you so much for watching today's video. I'll see you in another one real soon.